Welcome back. There is optimism that the meeting between government scientists from South Africa and the UK could lead to the UK's review of its travel ban red list. They discussed the latest trends on COVID-19 surveillance and vaccination programs yesterday. This after the furore over the UK's decision to put South Africa on that dreaded red list. The bilateral meeting is sought to boost confidence in South Africa's scientific prowess and vaccination drive. We're now joined by UK Parliamentarian Lord Peter Hain. Lord Hain, thank you for being with us. You've suggested that Boris Johnson's government may have it in for South Africa. Just tell us what you think is going on here.
Well, I'm going to be writing to the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, setting out a detailed case for lifting South Africa off this red list. There is no scientific justification for the government's decision. The reasons they've given do not stand up. And actually, South Africa has a lower infection rate of the same dominant variant, the Delta variant from India, a lower infection rate than Britain's. And many of the countries that Britain put back off the red list, pulled off the red list when it refused to do so for South Africa, actually have higher infection rates and in some cases rising infection rates, for example, Turkey. Now, if there is to be a consistent policy, then South Africa should immediately be lifted off the red list. And it's not simply because of my known sympathies and support and background as a child. My childhood was in South Africa, the son of anti-apartheid parents, and I was involved in the anti-apartheid struggle. It's not simply because I identify still strongly and South Africa has a special place in my heart. It's because the objective evidence does not support keeping South Africa on the red list, and I'll be setting out a detailed argument to Prime Minister Johnson to say why.
Please do. There has been a lot of lobbying going on and a lot of speculation. Just let's look at one of the claims that UK officials thought that we might have more of the beta variant, the old variant. Of course, it's been displaced by the Delta variant. That would be highly incompetent if that is the case. Do you agree?
It would be astonishing incompetence. Whether that's ministers who are simply not looking at the evidence before they make a decision. And by the way, keeping South Africa relegated onto the red list, a country with long historic ties going back hundreds of years with Britain, strong cultural links, strong business and economic and travel links. British tourists to South Africa are amongst the biggest group enjoying the great benefits of the wonderful coast and safari parks. So, I wonder whether this was a case, or another case of ministers being asleep at the wheel, because if they looked at the evidence, well, infection rate, South Africa, I think, has an infection rate a tenth of the infection levels of Britain. A tenth. If any country should go on the red list, it should be Britain itself, putting itself on its own red list. I'm not asking for that, clearly. I'm asking for consistency, and I'm saying that the scientific evidence supports South Africa's removal from the red list, and then being placed on an equal level with other countries that are in that position, where, yes, you have to test. You probably have to be double vaccinated. I'll be making the point to the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, that at least this should apply a free travel situation, subject to testing before and after you come back. It should apply at least to double vaccinated travellers. At least that would be maximum protection both for South Africans from a country like Britain, which has higher rates of infection, and to Britain from travellers coming from South Africa who might have caught it.
Could there be something else going on here that has also been claimed? There were reports of test results being sold, and of course we don't have that digital vaccination scanned certificate yet. Could this be corruption in South Africa coming back to bite us because there is a sense of distrust for official documents and official tests being conducted in South Africa. Is that a possibility?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know because I'm not as close to it as you are, Francis, and I haven't actually seen these reports. And yes, the corruption, especially under former President Zuma and the Gupta brothers, has left a massive stain on South Africa's reputation, and there is still corruption in the system. It's riddled with it, despite President Ramaphosa's best efforts to root it out. So it would be unsurprising if that suspicion remains. But I haven't seen any evidence, and nor have I seen any reports to that. And I've not seen any British spokesperson for the government or for the Prime Minister indicate, even off the record, that that was a reason. All they've said is that the beta, South African originated beta variant of COVID is a major reason for keeping it on the red list. But actually the beta variant is no longer present in South Africa. It's been overwhelmed by the Delta, the Indian originated variant, which is the same one as in Britain. And Britain has a higher infection rate.
All right,
so there doesn't seem to be any logic to this. It seems to me the decision just doesn't stack up.
So all we're left with then is the sense of incompetence, which you said earlier was astonishing. And I mean, tourism sector officials are looking at this, saying most of our tourists over the Christmas season, say, would come from the UK. This is going to further decimate a very important industry. It's huge for our economy. Important things like that, concerns like that, will they go all the way up to the Prime Minister's office?
Oh yes, my letter, when I send it, will go straight to the Prime Minister's office. I doubt, to be frank, that he's focused on it. He's making a mess of the Brexit consequences of not enough lorry drivers, and we can't get petrol. Petrol stations are either empty or there are long, long queues. There are all sorts of problems that Boris Johnson is grappling with, and I very much doubt he's focused on this matter, but my letter will ensure that it's on his desk, and I'll certainly be chasing up when Parliament resumes. But I hope that I won't need to do that. I hope that looking at the evidence I've provided, which is sourced from credible sources in South Africa and here in Britain, I hope that they'll see this letter as absolutely compelling in the way that I did when I looked at the evidence and compiled it.
All right, thank you very much for your time. We'll follow those continued lobbying efforts and get a response. We'll watch for a response to that letter. Thank you very much, UK Parliamentarian Lord Peter Hain.